Hi, this is Terry Justice, APA League Operator of Maryland and Eastern West Virginia, and welcome to the July edition of APA Talk. In this edition, since we're getting close to the playoffs and the start of the fall session, I'd like to talk a little bit about division rep responsibilities, give you a little bit of information about the playoffs, where you can find information in Chalk Talk and also in our bylaws. And also, I would like to talk about playing conditions in the hosting locations. First off, since we are around the 3rd of July at this point, I would like to wish everybody a early happy 4th of July. I'd like to apologize for having to play on some of the holidays. Again, we do not have to play on Tuesday, 4th of July. We were scheduled to play back on Sunday, June 18th during Father's Day in our World Qualifier. And again, I apologize for having to do that, but the time constraints on when we have to have our tournaments completed prohibited us from working around that. So again, I apologize, and a belated Happy Father's Day to everyone and a Happy 4th of July upcoming. I'd like to talk about a little bit about the playoffs since they're coming up in about 4 to 5 weeks. We're starting our fall session around August 6th in the Baltimore and Howard County areas. A week later, August 13th in the outlying counties. That said, we do have a couple of programs, adult youth leagues that we have just started up. We also have 8-ball, our new 8-ball doubles leagues. So if you are interested in having those in your area, call our marketing manager, Melissa Frank, on extension 112 here at the league office, and she can work with you on setting them up. We still have about 6 weeks to get things rolling along those lines. Playoffs. Again, about 4 to 5 weeks playoffs are happening. I'd like to, if you're not aware, Chalk Talk here has a wealth of information in it. If you turn to page 17, and that was sent to every team captain in the packets, we also have it posted up on our website at apapool.com on the main part of our website, and you can scroll through. On page 17, we start off talking about how to find out if you made it into the playoffs. It tells you when to call in based upon what night you play. If we roll over to the following page 18, we have playoff dates and times, and it talks about divisional finals, semifinals, etc. We roll on over to page 20. We have the end of session playoff eligibility criteria, followed by playoff rules, special rules for the playoff. All this is in Chalk Talk, so please look at it on our website or pull it out of your team envelope. It's got a wealth of information in it. Also, if you turn to our bylaws, our APA local bylaws, and you go to page 37, it will give you all these time frames too. Divisional semifinals, finals, and moving on to the following couple of pages, it talks about the division reps, their responsibilities, where they're going to be playing, which rep is going to be at what playoff location. It's good for our reps. We have about 300 reps, and I want to sincerely thank them. I super appreciate everything they do on refereeing playoffs and everything else they do out there to promote the APA in their local divisions. As far as their responsibilities, it keeps coming up some questions on what reps can they quote rules to you. They can tell you rules, but they're supposed to show you where in the bylaws it states the answer to your question. So if they quote a rule off the top of their head, occasionally they may get it wrong. And again, please forgive them on that, but don't rely on them quoting the rules. If they give you a rule, ask them, say, excuse me, where can I find it in the bylaws to confirm? And they should be able to pull out their copy of the bylaws, tell you what page that you can turn to in your bylaws or the rule book to answer that question. Even my tournament staff, they are instructed not to quote anything. Even myself, even though I've been doing this 34 years, I will very seldom, if ever, quote a rule off the top of my head. I'll say, this is what I believe it to be. Hang on one second, let me grab the rule book and let me show you. Again, our division reps should do the same thing. They should show you in writing to assist you on finding in the local bylaws, rule books, wherever it's located, the answer to your question. If you disagree with what they're telling you and they don't show you in the bylaws, simply pick up the phone. There's a hotline. It's listed in our local bylaws. It's listed in Chalk Talk. It's listed everywhere during playoffs. to call our hotline during the semifinals, at your local taverns, the finals at your local taverns, and Troy Myers, our senior tournament director that runs the events for me as far as the Tri-Cups and the World Qualifier, he will talk to you, tell you what page and verse the answer to your question is. So there's no need for you to play through a match and then find out that you were given wrong information by the opposing captain and or possibly a division rep. Again, the reps are to assist you in finding the answer in the bylaws or the rule books. If they cannot, then call the hotline and we will assist you. Okay, that sort of covers the playoffs upcoming, talking about a couple of new things happening in for the upcoming session. Again, as far as adult junior leagues, those are 4-person leagues, 2 adults, 2 juniors on a team. It's 9-ball, 3 matches per night. Only 1 adult shoots, both juniors play, and if both can't make it, 1 can double play. So it's a pretty cool thing for our juniors that we just started up here about a session ago. We still have mixed format, a new format you guys can try, 8-ball and 9-ball and Scotch doubles all mixed together. Call Melissa on that, or our new 8-ball doubles leagues. Last thing I wanted to speak about is the playing conditions at the host locations. I'd like to say that, or I'd like to emphasize that we are totally independent from our hosting locations. We run a pool league, they run a facility. Their rules apply there. They take care of their facility as they see is in their best interest and as they can economically afford to do. We run the league here to the best of our abilities, and the two share, but we do not cross. They don't tell me how to rate our players. They don't tell me what to do in a case of sportsmanship issues, whether I suspend a player or not, and I don't interfere with their operation either. Again, we work mutually together, but we do not interfere with each other's operations. That said, if you have problems at a hosting location, we have rules in our local bylaws here that talk about extreme heat conditions where they have no AC, extreme cold conditions where there's no heat. The taverns at that point are considered closed and it reverts back to the opponent's tavern, and there are some procedures you have to follow to invoke that. So again, it is going to get hot with the heat building up here, in July and August, and with people opening and shutting doors at a tavern, it is going to let heat in, and even if they have the best air conditioning system, sometimes it's going to be a little hot. So all you can do is sort of help them by not, opening the doors and heading outside for smoke breaks as often, and try to keep it cooler in the facilities. If their facility, their system shut down totally, it's a whole different story. Again, it falls under taverns temporarily closed, and we address that in the local bylaws. Now, as far as playing conditions on the table, we would all love to have 860 Simonis cloth. We would love to have the best playing equipment we can, but again, taverns are struggling out there, and even though you may think that they're doing well, they may be barely paying the bills and paying their lease payments, and they may not have excess money to keep the table up into pristine condition, but again, they should keep it in playable condition. If you feel a facility's equipment is not proper, you have a couple of options. You can talk with the opposing team captain and see if they concur that the table's cloth is worn totally out. If it is, then have them address it with the tavern owners. They're the ones that are playing out of there on a regular basis. They're the ones that can move their teams if the conditions aren't correct, and they're the ones that have the most leverage, and they know the tavern owners. They can talk with them, and as a lot of them are close acquaintances, and they'll have a much better chance of getting things brought up by talking to the tavern owners themselves. So just politely, quietly, talk to the opposing team captains if you feel there's a problem with a facility's equipment, and see if they can help you. That said, I think again I'm going to wish you a happy 4th of July, and we're going to close at this time, and I'll be back the 1st of August with another edition of APA Talk. Thanks, and everyone, have a great summer.